Okay. All right, guys, welcome back to the Good Stuff Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. We have the pleasure of talking
Pleasure.
to this lady. When is the show? Before I get too lost in my thoughts.
The show that he is talking about is the spring musical production. Marysville High School is presenting Mamma Mia. It is April 4th at 7 p.m., April 5th at 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., and April 6th at 2 p.m.
Thank you. I couldn't remember.
It's good.
So I am Derek Schwinn, your host for this show, local real estate agent, community enthusiast, and person who just likes to talk and ramble with people about the community. So that's what we're doing here about Mamma Mia, and we'll address some other school-related topics that we've got going on right now.
Yep.
But we want to talk about the show. So we've done this the last couple of years, kind of talked about the show.
Yeah, it's been great.
Newsies, and I think...
And Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins.
Mary Poppins was our first. We were shoved in our tiny little TA room.
That was
we were nice and cozy.
a good experience. So what's different about this show?
From Newsies and Mary Poppins, the show itself, the music. Mamma Mia obviously is all ABBA music. So it's a jukebox musical, which is very different from both of the shows we've done in the past, where you have original scores, where you have someone that physically says, I'm going to write this piece of music for this show and the whole thing. And instead, you now have a musical where everyone knows the music because it's music of the 70s that was created for pop. And then you plug it into a storyline, which creates a very, very big challenge for students to try and connect with the plot.
I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, I always said I will never do Mamma Mia because it's so hard to act. I mean, the opening number that Donna sings is all about money. It's money, 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 money.
Mm-hmm.
She has to act the entire time. I'm like, how do you act that? Like, I've got nothing. And it's the perfect show for them. They needed to come off of Newsies with another really, really dance-heavy show. Our dancers are amazing. I say this every single year. I am not the one that teaches them to dance. They don't learn how to do that in 3 months' time. They learn that from getting involved in dance at the age of 3, at the age of 4, 5, 6, 7. It is not picking it up and then just becoming this dancer. So thank you, every single dance studio that teaches our students. We can't do these shows to this caliber without you. And we're stuck in a rock and a hard place because all of our shows has to be dance heavy because the students need that for sure. And it's not a rock and a hard place. We're in a unique situation where most folks have to choose their shows based off of how much can my kids dance?
Resources available.
Exactly. How many resources do I have available? How many guys do I have? That's always a huge component. And right now we don't have any of those issues. Our biggest issue is how many kids can I fit on stage before it feels packed?
Why is that a problem?
Because sometimes we would have to turn people
Sorry.
away.
I mean, how did you get to a point where you have so many interested?
Well, I think it's just building up the expectation and the experience. We're in a very, very rich community arts-wise, which is shocking in a way. But we have 3 dance studios that are highly active and highly competitive. We have Red School of Music and so many individual voice teachers. And we have a Creekview musical program that now has, I want to say, don't mark my words on this, but I want to say there were 90 students involved this year, and they cut over 50% of auditioned. And they changed it from a kids musical to a junior musical, which means you're upping the level of content, you're upping the level of musicianship, you're upping the amount of time you're actually putting on that show. And then you have BMS musicals that are just constantly getting better and better. So we're able to send our high school students down to start training. And it's just this cyclical cycle that has been created over the past 3-4 years at the most, where we've raised the bar and the level of expectation, which then entices more students to want to become involved and stay involved. We try and create an experience where it's positive, where it's uplifting. Like, we want you over prepared so that way you're not nervous going into anything, and we give you time to make mistakes. And it's not just yell, 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 yell. We're like, hey, have you done this? You have next week to get this done. And if not, you're just cut. We're not yelling at you. We're not making you do something. You can absolutely do what we're asking you to do. You just have to put the time outside of it. And they rise to the occasion every time.
Good leadership and mentorship.
Oh, thank you.
That if you
have a good team, though, a really good team.
For
it's
sure.
not just me. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all of you. But
Yeah.
what it's become and what it is, if you haven't seen it, we always say go check it out. And it's amazing see what it is. Like you said,
Yeah,
it's surprising.
it's very unique.
But it's actually good shows for a non-theater person. Just guilty by association since my wife hangs out with you guys.
Yeah.
Um,
Plug. She's our choreographer, Ashley.
uh, but yeah, it's good quality content. To me, it's not
Yeah.
just my nephew's in here. I gotta
Yeah,
come
I
see
have
it.
to go see that. I have a lot of friends that come and see it. Actually, like my now adult friends, they choose to come and see the show every year. They're like, "When is it?" I'm putting it on my calendar. I have friends that travel down from Cleveland because they're like, "This isn't a normal high school production." Like when we say we're going to see a high school show, people are like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." Like, no, 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 we are choosing to go and see this because it's
It's
incredible.
that good.
What the kids are doing is amazing. This is our inaugural year of participating in the Kappa Marquee Awards, which
I forgot about that.
yeah, it's a huge year. So all of our kids are getting analyzed. We could have judges Friday, Saturday, or Sunday performances. We will have 3 sets of judges that come in and they're critiquing them on their choreo. They're critiquing them on our ensemble, on our entire show, on our stage crew, on our lighting. Everything you see on stage, they are taking notes. So if you see someone in the audience, that's the judge for the Kappa Marquee Awards. And they're writing down, here's what you're doing well, and here's where you can work on it, which is really nice for a director's standpoint of here's where we're lacking. So next year we can elevate it and we can continue to raise the bar for our students because I only know so much. And if I don't have someone saying, hey, you're lacking and you're missing a little bit here, then I'm not growing as much as I should to continue to help our students.
For sure.
Yeah.
So speaking of next year,
Yeah.
we'll get to that in a minute. What other things show specific can the theater? How can you speak to the theater people and the non-theater people of? I mean, you've spoken to the theater people a little bit
Yeah.
with some of the specifics and
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah.
jargon of the industry or
Yes.
the theater people, but those that don't, what kind of? I guess if anybody hasn't seen the movie or
Right. If you haven't seen the movie, you don't know what to expect. It is a show that's about you're stuck in the 1990s on a Greek island. Yeah. And it is a daughter who is getting married, and her mom was like the original kind of disco singer, but woman empowerment. And she has 2 friends. And so they're coming back for the wedding. And her daughter sneakily invites her dads because she doesn't know who her dad is. So she found her mom's diary and she invites all 3 people that she think could be her dads. And she expected to find out who it was right at the beginning. And she's like, I actually have no idea. It could be all of you. And so it's just her trying to work her way through and navigate that while her mom's also like, what are they doing
with some
here?
comedy in there?
A lot of comedy, a lot of dancing. We have almost a 4-foot disco ball that we hung yesterday from the catwalk. So we truly turned the auditorium into this huge disco.
Well,
It's
and the
amazing.
set. I mean, I haven't
The set's
seen it,
incredible.
but
Yeah.
I mean, it came in on a semi, so it's
A
not like it's
52-foot trailer that we unloaded on Monday. We stored in the wings because Show Choir had community concerts, so we had to make sure that everything was clear enough where they could have their show. And then Tuesday, we spent all day building the set. The students it was my dad, myself, Luke Ahern, who's the assistant director, Nick Garner, who's one of our dads who was amazing. And then we
Nick.
had, yeah, go Nick. And then we also had Alicia Hill came in for a couple of hours, who's a mom. And then the rest of it was students building the entire time. And they built the set. And today we painted the floor. So we're going to make it look like cobblestone. So that'll be done tomorrow. It's really come to life and it's really awesome. Yeah.
make sure you check it out.
Yeah. You have to come. Come and see it.
Wonderful stuff. So getting to the next year
Yeah.
and the elephant in the room, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
my wife has said that you've commented that this is the last show.
it is. Yeah.
For the
As of now,
kids
it is the
and-
last show.
The levy is important.
Yeah. Because of the levy failure in November, on the ballot for the contingency plan, it was all theatrical arts were cut for extracurricular supplemental. So that's the 5th and 6th grade supplemental, the 7th and 8th grade BMS musical supplementals, and then the fall play or fall musical, whichever we choose to do with the assistant, and the high school director and the assistant director. Because of the levy failure, it's nixed. There is no program. We have a boosters organization that will be sitting there with nothing to do. We'll have students that are planning on going into this for a career path, and they will have no experience yet next year.
And so everything that's
Yeah.
been built up until this point,
Done. Dead in the water.
and with social media and the comments and the posts and everything you see, that's really where my mind goes to is that really a situation that we're okay with in this community, despite your opinions and perspectives and
Right.
whatever. I don't know who would legitimately say that's something they're okay letting go of.
Right.
And I think the reality of this May levy not going through is the last nail in the coffin to
Correct.
really take things down and to get momentum built back up. That's huge.
Yeah, it's massive. It's like building a sports program for those of you who do not understand the arts. And I can say all of this. I am out of contract hours. We're at a dance studio. We're offsite. So I do want to make sure legally you know that I can say this. I'm a community member at this point. Um, what you have to do over the course of time to build a program is just like having a new coach in a sports team. You are building the buy-in from the students. You are starting new traditions. You are starting new levels of responsibility. How you're going to run things. They come in knowing exactly what to do and what the expectations are. My first year there, I cannot tell you how many times when I said off book, I mean off book. You're wasting my time.
And off
And then
book
I
for those
stare
who
that.
don't know.
Sorry, off book means you are no longer looking at your script, so you can start developing your character.
You actually
Until you are
memorize
off book,
things
you are
and
just I use up all the time. My name's Russell. I am a wilderness explorer. That's what it sounds like when you're not off book. You are still reading the script. So we were off book for the entire show, less than a month and a half in, which is crazy because it's 120 pages and 29 songs, all of them being ensemble songs besides one. So it's a boatload. It's 2 hours worth of content that they were completely off book. Not once this year did I have to say, when I said off book, you're off book. That is something that's instilled with them that takes time. And so if you lose that for a year, then you are going back and you're rebuilding it. It's just like if you're a reading specialist, you know there's a summer slump and they regress. It's the same exact thing, except for tenfold, because then you have to rebuild in buy-in. I was the first director to introduce dance only, and that really, really appealed to all of my dancers because their schedule as competitive dancers, they can't be there every single night because
right.
then they're missing out on their dance studio time. And so for my dance only, you are required to be there once a week. And then if you can make it after that to any other rehearsal, you make it. But if it doesn't fit in your schedule, that's okay. You're just expected to know it. That's something that we have established. So the second that goes away, even if it's for a year, it doesn't sound like a lot. That's huge. So my seniors next
Well, even just the
year,
morale.
yeah. Oh, it's huge for the morale. It's been really, really tough this year for my students. If you received a phone call in the November push that we had for phone banking, it was from my students. We have a
And
student
you're doing it
levy,
again.
and they are doing it again. We have a grassroots team that led the calls. They know what's at stake, and they
Mhm.
are putting so much work in to try and save it. They are so passionate about this. Um, it weighs on you as the director and as their teacher of like, there's nothing I can do. There's
Well, and
nothing.
just to interject, to me, one of the what's the right way to say it? If you
It's hard.
can't tell and feel it through the camera, I think a lot of it comes from this lady here.
Well, thank you.
And well, no, I'm just saying you're passionate about it, and
Very
that
much.
that clearly translates to the kids. And I think what frustrates me about the challenges with the levy is, and that's why some of the stuff we're doing with
Yeah.
the videos and grassroots efforts to try to put a face to these stories and these positions being cut.
Right.
Of, do we want to lose this?
I am gone in
I know
May.
you're humble, but
I don't want to lose my job. And I've had people ask me, like, well, you can just go, anybody would want you. I could care. Thank you, first. But second, I don't care. I don't want to teach anywhere else. I will never have the program that I have now, and I will always be chasing that dream. And if you know me as a human being, I will never be able to separate that. And I will always feel like I'm trying to play catch up to what I had before. And it has nothing to do with the students that I would then be working with. It's everything that we lost because we couldn't pass a levy. Because people cannot see the value of putting money into the education system. You're
especially
growing with growth. If you are growing, you have to put in money. It doesn't just miraculously happen. And we know that Ohio has been deemed unconstitutional the way they do property taxes for schools. Cool, there's nothing we can do about it. There's nothing the school district can do
we're
about
still
it.
in the bottom 13% of funding.
Correct. And to me, to not be able to say, yes, I want to see our kids progress, even if I don't understand music, even if I don't understand theater, even if it's not a tested subject, because the state or the national standards didn't deem it as something that was worthy of testing, why aren't we challenging that? I challenge that every single day. If you look at studies, when you're looking at the theater program and you're looking at kids in the arts specifically, they are extremely, extremely higher up on the testing score because of the types of brain activity they use while they are engaged in music and while they're engaged in arts. It goes hand in hand. So everyone that argues, oh, but it's not a core subject that's being tested. Yeah, but do you understand? Have you studied how it assists with that? If that's what your point is. For me, I don't care about the test
Agreed.
score.
Mhm.
I care about what happens in my classroom and the growth that I see with my students and the responsibility and the pride that they have and the level of independence they receive from being in these programs. You cannot replicate it. You can't. I'm a sports person. I've coached. I'm a director. I'm into music. I'm one of those weird people. I gained so much more being a musician than an athlete, and I was ranked in the state as an athlete.
Oh, really?
Was
Didn't know that. And what?
volleyball.
Uh,
D3, like tiny, tiny school. So it doesn't really count that much. But
Counts
at the
enough.
same time, I'm in the unique situation of saying, like, I
The value
gained
of
a
it, yeah.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. I'm very, very frustrated with the amount of effort that students are putting in and the future of our world are putting in, saying, no, please, please save this. Please allow us to have the proper education. Please don't let us lose these things.
Well, especially when it's against the nuance of, well, I think it should be this way or that way. No, should we support it or not? That to me is where we should
Right.
be at. And if we can argue about the nuance of how the funding happens, okay, we'll get to that. But we need to first agree that it needs to happen, because the reality is, when great functions like this are saying this is the last year,
Yep.
I think we're at the point where we need to stop arguing about the nuances and the details, and argue for the students, argue for the community in the future, and however you want to
Right.
say that. Yeah, it's just impressive that this is where we're at,
Yes.
and not a good way.
Yep.
Um,
Transitioning out of that. Come to the show. See them. Truly, we want to sell out this show for them. We do. I think that they deserve it. If you've never been to the show and you don't know what's going on behind the curtain, um, come and see it. You will be impressed. And I'm not saying that because I'm their director. If you know me, I'm very hard on them. I have really high expectations. When I say hard on them, like, I won't tell them they're good if they're not good. They're good.
I've seen it.
They've been running this show and they've been ready for a month around it. I mean, we're full costumes. We're shoring up the lighting now that we got the set on Tuesday, and we're about 90% there, which is crazy. Our tech is amazing. Our kids are so fantastic. They are running the lights, they're running the sound, they're running the scene changes, they are building all the things. Our stage manager is going into this for her career, and she will be very, very sorely lost. Her name is Mac, and she's been my stage manager. She called the show last year, so all of the scene changes you see, prepping and making sure that we are troubleshooting in the middle of the show. So if a prop piece gets left or someone lost their shoe, she's calling into our microphones into the wings of stage right. There's a shoe on this platform. Make sure you get blackout. I mean, making all of that magic happen. And she's graduating and going into this as a career path. Like, our kids are going in.
Yeah, and I've heard that more and more over the last
Yeah, we have
handful of years.
more and more kids getting interested in it because we're able to up the level of experiences
Everything,
they
I
can
think,
have,
yeah.
which adds to their portfolio. If you don't have it, you don't have a portfolio.
But at the same time, the high standards go with it, and
Correct.
the level of execution and all of it.
Yep.
You know, all boats rise and rising tide kind of idea that,
Yeah.
all of it goes up, and that's
Yeah.
good overall. Yeah. I was just trying to think if there's any other route to go on the levy funding side of,
Right.
you know, I always try to ask people, like, what, in your opinion, what, obviously vote yes, but short of that, what would be your encouragement to bettering the situation?
Listen to the kids. They're doing so much work. They're making videos. They meet almost every single Sunday to try and figure out what can we do and what can we say to help the public understand if they are naive in a situation or naive with a question, or if there's false information that's being presented, how can we clear that up in a direct way that is still kind, because being clear is being kind. And that's something that we do a lot within the performing arts community is we say something very directly, but not in a harsh way. It's factual. And so that's what they've been trying to do and trying to drive their entire initiative when out is
Mm-hmm.
to be clear, and make sure that they're understanding the facts before they present them. But yeah, follow Marysville grassroots efforts. They're really, really fantastic of about 40 kids that put in their time and effort outside of every other thing that they
Yeah.
have to try and ensure that they don't lose what they love and what they're passionate about and what a lot of kids would go into a career path for.
And if not, gain the benefit of having done it and all that comes
Correct.
with that. Well, yeah, obviously everybody in this room anyway hopes that it goes through and we're not going at whatever might come if it doesn't, because it could have a lot of ramifications. So I
Yep.
really hope everybody gets on board, or enough people get on board, and we come together as a community to support the kids, support all that comes with supporting a community. Um, but it's really sad to think that some of the kids that are working the hardest are going to be the ones that are most hit.
Yeah,
And
it was a
yourself
hard
and
day coming
teachers
back
and
after the levy failure, and having that conversation with the students, like, we did all this work and it wasn't for nothing. Had you sat back and did nothing, how much worse would you have felt?
yep,
This is activism. You are the future minds of the world, and what an experience you gained from this. And if we have to do it over again in May, let's talk about what you can do differently
sail
or what you
forward. Yeah,
want to do. And I mean, they jumped right from the start of saying, here's what we're going to do, and we are going to make sure that we are pushing this forward. And their schedules are jam packed, and they still find the time to advocate, which is crazy, and speaks volumes to who they are as people and their character and how passionate they are about the arts.
yep. Well, I guess my 2 cents would be if you're questioning the value of these things out there, come see the show. Come, where the rubber meets the road.
Right?
And
Yeah. April 4th, 5th, and 6th.
yep. And hope and pray that it's not the last show, and
Yeah.
there's an even better one next year, so you can
We already have it planned.
pursue your perfectionism. Uh, yeah. So if there's anything else, let us know, and
sure.
obviously we'll share that out there. But anything else to share at this moment?
I don't think so. If you want to buy tickets, it's normally reserved seating. It's not normally. It is reserved seating. You get to pick where you sit. And tickets are $15 for students and general admission for everyone. And you can find us on Instagram at Marysville Theatrical Arts to purchase tickets. If you email the school or if you call the school, they can absolutely tell you where to find that, or they can send you my specific email address and I respond back to you. Hopefully quickly. My schedule's very busy because we're getting into pre-tech week, into tech week, into all the things. So
And hopefully taking a break for spring break next week.
maybe we'll see. We have some final things that we have to finish. So
Always something.
yep.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and chatting. Hopefully,
Yeah. Thanks for
people
taking the
find
time
this
and meeting with
informative
us.
and
Yeah.
come watch the show and support the kids, most importantly,
Yes.
in the levy, and just supporting the kids in the community in
Yes.
general by watching
Yep.
all that goes on. So like, comment, subscribe, do all the stuff, follow along. Make sure you come check out the show.
Yeah.
Again, support the kids. And if there's anything I can do for you, let me know. Until then, take care.
Thank you.